All right? Okay. Let's go.
It's over there. I think it's over there.
Yeah.
Ready and go! There we go. Good lad. All right.
With next day delivery on thousands of electricals, you can be sure of a better tomorrow.
This says hijacking Earth's geothermal energy supply on the screen.
Prepare for your demise, Mr. Billingsley.
Do your worst, Doctor.
I will. First, a little presentation. Hijacking Earth's geothermal energy supply. Phase 1. Choosing the right drill bit.
As long as evil villains reveal their plans, you can count on Geico saving folks money. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Prepare for your demise, Mr. Billingsley.
Do your worst, Doctor.
I will. First, a little presentation. Hijacking Earth's geothermal energy supply. Phase 1. Choosing the right drill bit.
As long as evil villains reveal their plans, you can count on Geico.
So this is a double predictive programming or double truth drop within a commercial. They're giving you an example using predictive programming of what predictive programming is. It's the bad guys telling you their plan, and he's telling you that the bad guys are telling you their plan right here in this commercial. And the last one is by a company called AO.com, as in Alpha and Omega, and it's also about the Earth's geothermal energy supply, or what a lot of people refer to as the Sun Simulator.
All right? Okay. Let's go.
It's over there. I think it's over there.
Yeah.
Ready and go! There we go. Good lad. All right.
With next day delivery on thousands of electricals, you can be sure of a better tomorrow.
So, phase 1, choosing the right drill bit. Roller cone with tungsten carbide insert. Polycrystalline, the unexpected choice. Deciding well depth and bore gauge. Troubleshooting for surface anomalies. Drilling speed and efficiency. And you can see the surface of the mountain here springing a leak right there. So, as long as evil villains reveal their plans through truth drops, known as predictive programming in the media, they'll be there to give you good insurance rates with their cute and cuddly reptilian salesman, which is also not by accident. Isn't he the cuddliest, cutest little thing you ever did see? Okay, you're getting a little sampler of what's for dessert in this one, and at the end of the video, I have the truth or challenge. I have a phone number I want you to call and tell them you're ready to do whatever it takes. And I was going to make this one of the truth or challenges. to go to this www.illuminati spelled backwards.com and see if it's really the National Security Agency. But as soon as I typed that into a text message to myself and sent it to myself, it added this bottom tagline. When I only typed in www.illuminati.com, it turned it into a hot link and added this bottom tagline, which tells me truth or challenge confirmed. So you're going to have to go there and tell me what's on their site. But stick around and there's even more goodies to come. I'm talking great goodies. Because we are the intelligence agents, and we're communicating on a frequency that the adversarial opponent cannot decode and descramble and decrypt and listen in on, and they don't know where we're coming from and how we're getting our instructions. Like the guy on the four-wheeler, he was on the other side. Greg Braden said if you don't like the word spirit, you can use the word electromagnetic frequency, and you're pretty much saying the same thing. With that, it's time to do some house cleaning. Because in this video where I show you that the trees are literally leaping up out of the ground, and as I go through and show you this, remember this is used as material. I use people as examples for material for the lesson to be learned through example, but this particular person is different. This particular person is employed to come and leave comments that detract from the message. I named them in my previous video where I outed some, called some people out. And between the time I made that video and while it was uploading, I noticed they made another comment. And when I click their icon and it shows me they've made 53 comments, and the three most recent are all detracting from the subject. While that was uploading, this was what was left. If this was already one of the comments they'd left, you would have seen it as one of the examples I used. So while that was uploading and I called this person out, they left this one that says chain it down so it doesn't get away. That's the tree of knowledge. And that really is a tree of knowledge. And I'm going to show you what good comments look like. I had actually seen this, but did not know what had caused it. I still have the pics of 2 trees in my front yard. They look like they were pulled up and set back where they were growing. I'm going to show you some more good comments and show you what real constructive criticism looks like after I call this person out, because they are absolutely a troll. Their name is now Soul Frequency Hertz B-Salt. When I called them out originally, it was Soul Frequency Hertz Basalt, B-A-S ALT, basalt. It is now Soul Frequency Hertz. Sun, frequency, and Hertz is the unit of measurement for frequency. This is a troll. And I'm doing this to show you what literal opposition we are up against here. Organized, orchestrated, coordinated people that are employed to come to this channel and cause subterfuge in the comments section. Kind of like the guy on the four-wheeler, but online. Now remember, I asked this person in all seriousness, do you think a cigarette butt could have started the fire? Because that was one of their comments, and they would not respond to me, but they've commented in the following 2 videos. But they will not respond and tell me if they honestly believe a cigarette butt could have started the fire. In this one, they simply wrote the word graffiti, which is exactly what this commenter leaves, is graffiti in my comment section. I'm going to show you, like what's right above their comment, the kind of high-level discourse I like to engage in here, and where she's talking about normally they only get 230 deaths, and this year they got 719. That's kind of important stuff. And so we need to out these people 32 minutes ago when the video had only been up for an hour. So in this particular screenshot, he had commented 3 hours ago. This guy had commented 1 hour ago. What I'm trying to tell you is that when the video had only been up for an hour, this guy had commented 30 minutes ago. So he commented within the first 30 minutes of the video uploading. And he's commenting right next to some good conversation that we're going to look at. The kind of stuff we like to focus on. Like maybe Imagine Dragons or Mormon, right? I told him I have reason to believe so because in the song Cutthroat, they talk about their ancestors marching martyrdom through the plains of Utah. So here's where they're polluting my comments 32 minutes ago when the video had only been up for 1 hour. And I'm going to talk more about how this person's obviously an employed troll, part of a troll farm. But first, let's see what the person right next to him that he's distracting from and taking away from anyone who might be engaged in the discourse here in this comment section. Let's look at these 230 deaths and 719 and see what that's all about. She says the UV ray intensity has been off the charts in recent weeks, especially on the west coast of North America, according to Mr. MBB333 and his associate in Abbotsford, British Columbia, who both take daily UV readings on their devices and report them online. Though I live in north central Ontario, I can attest to the scorching damage of the UV rays. Yesterday, I spent an hour in my tiny townhouse backyard garden, roughly 20 foot by 40 foot in total area, snipping off all of the UV scorched leaves on my 200 plus variety of sunflower plants, bush and pole bean leaves, tall wildflowers, vine fruit, watermelon, water musk, honeydew, watermelon, and squash and pumpkin vine leaves. Climbing roses, some cucumber and tomato plant leaves. I collected half a bushel of affected leaves, and they went right into my composters. I did notice that many of the affected leaves were east facing, so they were likely most affected by the sun's UV emissions from morning through noon. The worst affected sunflowers and the pole beans were under my 2 severely trimmed back bean cherry trees, which I use as trellises for the beans, and to which I tie supportive strips of stretchy t-shirt material from the sunflower stalks to the tree trunks to not only support the sunflowers in the event of a severe windstorm, but also to give the pole beans something to attach to and climb up. Last year, I was harvesting rattlesnake pole beans from the runners as tall as 13 foot tall, but even the umbrella-like canopy of the bean cherry trees did not protect the eastern side plants from the sun's UV rays, though the bean cherry tree leaves fared okay despite having been about 10% ravaged by this year's plague of gypsy moths and caterpillars, which have devastated large tracts of forest across Canada, including here in the greater Toronto area. I do have a big bulk of cheap fabric mesh material. Should the UVA damage continue, I will rig up some canopies over my 4 foot by 4 foot raised garden boxes. Side note, everyone might want to invest in some of that large bulk material because everyone's going to need shade canopies for everything. Doing auto body work outside, having a lawn grow, a garden grow, doing anything outside is going to require a shade cover. The roll of fabric is the basis of a shade cover. To afford plants some protection, I hope. From March 2020 up to a week ago, we've been under the most severe COVID lockdown in the world, we are repeatedly told. But then again, that's what someone else told me from the Czech Republic, so maybe that's what they tell everyone around the world, is that you're under the worst lockdown in the world. All my favorite forests and dog walking trails have been barricaded until a week or so ago. So I'm only just now venturing out to see if there is any evidence of plasma trees around me. I never even heard of such a thing a year ago. Hundreds of Canadians, chiefly the elderly, and chiefly on the west coast of British Columbia and Alberta, died this week owing to a all-time record heat temperature topping off at 49. By the way, side note, other people are sending me videos and photos of the temperature gauge on their vehicle. Usually reads straight up and down, right at the halfway gauge. Now it's at 3/4. When I went into the truck stop, the Loves, they didn't have a single bottle of coolant on the shelf. Like it's blowing the coolant right out of all the motors, and people are buying up coolant for their trucks because it's blowing it right out the radiator cap, which is set to a certain pressure for the certain temperature. That temperature is now increased as a regular basis, and it's blowing it out the spring of the radiator cap. Those springs need to be twisted at a different ratio now that the normal temperature is running hotter due to the radiation penetrating these engine blocks and raising their internal temperature, I do believe. So that many people died this week owing to an all-time record heat temperature, topping off at 47 Celsius, which translates to 118 degree Fahrenheit. You can click the link on her comment that she left in this video. The temperature reached 49 degrees Celsius on Monday after reaching a temperature of 46 degrees Celsius Sunday. Trivia. Lytton's all-time Canadian, listen, the town of Lytton, this matters. Lytton's all-time Canadian record maximum temperature of 47.9 degrees Celsius set on 28th of June 2021 surpasses Las Vegas's all-time record high of 117. And Lytton is at 50 degrees north, way up there in Canada. But they've surpassed the all-time record of Las Vegas, which is much further south and near the equator. Monday's record even beat the all-time high record in Las Vegas. 2 days later, several towns in the west burned down, most notably the heat record-breaking town of Lytton. Very suspicious looking in the aftermath, resembling Paradise, California in dew. You can click the link in her description and maybe I'll do a video on that. I just have not yet. Canada, record heat wave may have killed 500 people in Western Canada. British Columbia reports jump in number of sudden and unexpected deaths and links them to the extreme weather. She's giving you direct quotes from newspapers here. Nearly 500 people may have been killed by record-breaking temperatures in Canada, westernmost province. And officials warned the grim toll from the heat dome could rise again as more deaths are reported. On Friday, British Columbia's chief coroner said that 719 sudden and unexpected deaths had been reported over the past week, triple the number during the similar period in a typical week. We are releasing this information as it is believed likely the extreme weather British Columbia has experienced in the past week is a significant contributing factor to the increased number of deaths, the chief coroner Lisa Lapointe said in a statement. The coroner's office said it would typically expect to close to 230 deaths in a similar period. And as you can see, we have other people contributing good content. By the way, Logic, I'd refer to this guy. He seems to know about the Access Monday and the Apotheosis Plan, and I've been watching your videos, brother. Not only did I come right out the gate with, I think, Logic Before Authority has identified the details behind the myths about magnetification. I referenced your content when I was ranting and raving, surrounded by security guards at the Micron plant, because I wouldn't let them put an infrared laser to my temple, and instead offered to let them take the temperature on my wrist, and they would not. And I think that video's been removed for the purposes of consensus, to maintain the consensus, like in the Ash experiments, because only one person thinking they can negotiate or do things their way makes the other sheep start to think for themselves. I'm pretty sure that video got removed because they can't see me surrounded by Micron security, which is fascism, the corporations running their own laws. And a note on that, I know the fine line that's been drawn here in Utah when it comes to the law they just passed, barring anyone from requiring a vaccine. No government will be able to because of the new law that's been passed in Utah, but private corporations will, and they even, in the article that I will go over soon, draw the line of differentiation between Brigham Young University and Utah State University, saying Utah State University cannot and will not require a vaccine now, but Brigham Young University could if they chose to, because they are a private corporation. So, when people say I had no choice, my boss said I had to, or my college required it, you still have a choice. You could have gone down the road to the state college that doesn't require it, or you could have changed jobs, but it's still voluntary. But that's where the line is drawn, and we'll go over that very soon. I think they took off my video where I'm ranting and raving, surrounded by the new fascist police enforcing their new corporate law at the Micron plant, where private corporations enforce their own rules. See how that's connected there? They can't have me having a video ranting and raving saying I'm not going to let him put a laser to my forehead, and then getting my way by the end of the video and saying Viva La Resistance. That video's gone unless and until I can track it down. I'm pretty sure they removed it from my homepage. I might be able to get a link to it, and that way we can still access it, but I think they removed it from my homepage. Anyway, moving on. Here in a minute, we're going to do some cool stuff. Yo, it's your boy, Jeff, with that Jeff Side Worldwide, coming to you with that Jeff Side Worldwide. But first, we got to go over a couple of more worthy comments and what a worthy comment in the comment section looks like. This is by our friend Goodbye Blue Sky. Yeah, see, I'm keeping a list and checking it twice. This is very redeeming. The real hopeless victims of mental illness are to be found among those who appear to be most normal. Many of them are normal because they are so well adjusted to our mode of existence, because their human voice has been silenced so early in their lives that they do not even struggle or suffer or develop symptoms as the neurotic person does. They are normal, not in what may be called the absolute sense of the word. They are normal only in relation to a profoundly abnormal society. Their perfect adjustment to that abnormal society is a measure of their mental sickness. These millions of abnormally normal people living without fuss in a society to which, if they were fully functioning human beings, they ought to be not well adjusted. That's by Aldous Huxley. Here we got Aphrodite Rose Starfire coming in with the Snow Guard reference to the innkeeper at the hotel in The Shining. Okay, Overlook Hotel. I'm watching as I comment. And I say, tell me more. I know nothing of the innkeeper at The Shining. And she says this is highly essential. The language of Kubrick is the puzzle. It boils down to the moon landings, flat earth, polar twins, polar opposites, and to notice what is missing, like kids. Timmy develops an evil twin. Once Haas' father abuses him, alcohol also plays a huge role. The channel One-Eyed Jack helped me awaken, but there are still so many threads. I'll comment a link to a vid, but you know how it goes. Maybe watch his series on the Philadelphia experiment from 3 years ago. Once you see the language, it's hidden in everything. That'll be key here in just a second. David Lynch is the second guy to use the language, but he is using it for the dark side. Kubrick was hiding the truth in plain sight. You mean like this language from the music video, Whatever It Takes by Imagine Dragons, where it says Overlook Hotel, and it gives you a matchbook right there with a phone number on it to call. That's 702-800-2422. I've brought this up in a previous video. Has anyone ever called it? And you can see how this says the Overlook Hotel. And I believe that's what she referenced when she said that it's a language that is used. And I believe these guys just might be using the language. I don't know what the Mr. Qualo Colorado stands for. But they show that matchbook at 2 different points, at 2 different scenes within the video. One is under the water, one is around the fire. So one of them is beneath the water. You can see the bubbles rising up there. And one of them is beside the fire. Same matchbook, same phone number. You gonna give him a call, tell him you're ready to do whatever it takes? Tell him you want to meet Mr. Qualo Colorado? It's your truth or challenge. I did the NSA thing, Illuminati, www.illuminati backwards. And that's the other truth or challenge. You got to record yourself calling the phone number and telling them you're ready to do whatever it takes. Or click on that NSA website and take some screenshots and make a video. That's your truth or challenge. Are you up to it? Initiate, young Skywalker. May the Space Force be with you. You're our only hope, Luke. Join the Jeff side today. Or don't. Just stick around and wait for, Wait for this fine lady who's leading our armed forces. Yes, she is a fine young lady who's leading our armed forces. The battle trannies come knocking at your door. Knock, knock, knocking on. Okay, I won't sing. But when Chalk was talking about the divorce that I issued as mandatory homework video, where we might have to split up into geographic regions, in this video, he goes over the internal divide that we've already been through, that already happened, that will result and does result in external manifestations of that internal state of being. And we've divided already into two different camps. And there are outward expressions, outward physical world manifestations of that internal division between our two worlds. This is one of them. We're going to go over a few more. But having the land mass of the United States break up into geographic regions of like-minded people would be an outward physical expression of that inward mental, emotional, spiritual division that's already happened and continuing to happen rather rapidly. And we need to take that into account very seriously and consider the potential that we may have to make these decisions to move geographic locations. I'm happy where I'm at. Good to be a Utard. They just passed those laws about legalizing carrying a concealed firearm, which I did verify, and that is the case. You can carry concealed with no permit. And as far as the no mandatory vaccinations, I will be going over the exact writing of what I read, where it splits the fine line between the private corporation and the government entity. The government will not be mandating it. Corporations still can if they want, right down to private corporations like Brigham Young University, but Utah State University will not be able to mandate vaccines. So, if we split up into geographic regions, you can see the mindset of the people that are here basically taking a strong hold. I'm good to go where I'm at. You might want to consider some of the same things depending on where you are. But before we move along too quickly, remember the truth or challenge, Luke. Remember the truth or challenge, Luke. You are our only hope, Luke. Okay, here we go. Chalk is outlining the societal changes that have happened, reflecting the internal, mental, emotional, spiritual change that's already happened, a division within our society that is resulting in external manifestation. And I believe this guy right here, who got himself a facial surgery and says he's now transracial, he's Korean. He's so happy to be Korean now, I'm transracial. And the left is retaliating against him, saying, oh no, you can't do that. He could be a psychological operation. We're talking the Comedy Infusion Agency that brought you Waynell Sexton, George Floyd's fifth grade teacher, that brought out his writings from the fifth grade, because she keeps all the writings of all of her children, or she remembers all of them by name, and she's got them on file from when he was fifth grade 40 years ago, and her name is Waynell Sexton. And she brings out his fifth grade writings about how he wanted to change the world, and I remember he was a great student. I believe Waynell Sexton was brought to us by the Comedy Infusion Agency, and this type of character would be a great return on investment to use absurdity to illustrate the absurd. In these information warfare, psychological warfare, social engineering programs, this would be a great return on investment to have someone out there saying, okay, and you escalate what they're doing to illustrate the absurdity and use absurdity to illustrate and highlight the absurd. And that's what he has done here, and that's why the left is backlashing against him, saying, oh no, you can't expose how absurd and ridiculous our whole trans thing is. He's like, no, I'm so happy, I'm finally Korean, I'm transgender, I'm finished transferring, transitioning. I've transitioned, I am finally Korean. They get an agent to have this facial surgery, say that shit on social media, have the reverse surgery when the gig's over, and he looks the same as he did before 6 months after he has the reverse surgery. But during the interim period, he can say, I'm so happy to be Korean, I'm finally Korean. So that's the lighthearted news. That this dude, I'm thinking probably still dude. I'm not sure, I'd have to ask. But this person's finally Korean. They finally finished their transitioning period between whatever they were before they became Korean. And now they're Korean, a few facial surgeries later. Oh, and it's like big bucks they spend in all these surgeries too. He goes over the details. Link is in the description. But he also shows you some of the nitty-gritty stuff because we just went through Pride Month. And this is a man with his junk hanging out and a woman tasing his balls in public, and the Washington Post is writing articles about how children need to be exposed to kink culture. That is the internal change, the spiritual divide that we've already gone through that may result in an external physical manifestation of that internal change that's already happened. All this behavior is an external, outward, physical manifestation of their internal spiritual state of being. If the country divides up into geographic regions of like-minded people, it will likewise be an external, outward expression of our behavior that is a reflection of our internal spiritual makeup. And if we choose to go somewhere else and not be around these people, their behavior is a reflection of their internal being. Our behavior to choose not to be around them will be an outward expression of our behavior that reflects that internal state of being of our own. But again, I remind you, this is how far it's gone already. This person gives a talk about how proud they are to lead our soldiers. Look at all the brass, all the decorations here. That's what Chalk goes over in the link in the description about the fear of a woke planet. And it sounds like the people might want you to bring back the plasma fire guy back by popular demand. I hear the people hollering my name in the chat, yo. and Chalkbody Outline reads it out. So I got a shout out in his chat and he reads it out in that video. So it might be like a shameless plug of self-promotion going on here. A little bit of that. And when I was bitching about getting new subs, I didn't mean educated people. Just don't blow it out to mass amounts of fools. And I'm going to go watch Chalk's QOC versus Benton. He said me and Benton might have some overlap. And if so, maybe we'll do something together. Anyway, check it out. Links in description. I'll throw it in the comments section and pin it to the top too. I think I just heard myself doing a black scent. Probably because I'm thinking about QOC and his smooth GQ gangster ghetto fabulous suave style, and I'm trying to like get some black scent going in my voice. Thinking about doing maybe a show with him or something. I'll have to check myself on that black scent. I'm black fishing. For real though, I have not clicked this link. I simply typed these letters, Illuminati backward, www.illuminatibackward.com, into a message to send it to myself. And when I did, it attached this part to the bottom.